Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's crochet tutorial is going to be on this little teacup and saucer. So here's the teacup, and then here's the saucer. They just go together nicely. Alright, so for this project, we're going to need a 2.75 millimeter crochet hook or size C, a yarn needle, and a pair of scissors. Okay. We're also going to need some DK light worsted weight yarn, or a yarn weight of 3, and I've chose this kind of sparkly pink this time, and then our a little creamy color, which is also a DK size 3 weight of yarn. All right, we're going to start on the teacup. Let me position myself a bit better. Okay, we're going to start with the pink, and we're going to do 6 single crochet into a magic circle. Okay, so starting with a magic circle and putting 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So here's 1, 2, 5, and 6. Okay. And then just pull this yarn tail tight, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's our 6th one, and sometimes this gets a little tricky. Okay. And then just slip stitch, and then you should have 6 single crochet. Alright, so that's our first round, and for a second we're going to chain 1. So our chain 1, which I like to keep pretty loose, it won't matter because it'll be hidden later. And then we're going to do a single crochet into the same stitch that we slip stitch into. That's 1, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And 2, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet into each stitch around until we come back to the beginning, and we should have 12 stitches all together. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. I'm back, and I have 1 more stitch right there. And I'm going to put my 2 single crochet into that stitch. And then if you can see, this looks like a stitch right here, but we're actually going to slip stitch into the one next to it, because if you did keep it quite loose, we're just going to slip stitch to join this round. Alright, next round we are going to chain 1, keeping it much looser than the last round, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet into the next stitch. So 1 and 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And this is you're going to repeat this around until you have 18 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to the end. So let me do that and I'll come back. I'm back. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm back, and I have 2 stitches left, so I'm going to do my single crochet, and I should end up on a 2 single crochet. Put my stitch into the last stitch here, and do my 2 single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into our chain 1, which is right there. I've kept it quite loose. Slip stitch easily. Okay, so you should have doubled up to 18. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 again, and we're going to single crochet into each stitch around in the black back loops only. So see, I have these little V's. Well, we're going to just go into the middle and get to the back loop only and do a single crochet like normal. And we're going to do that all the way around until we get back, and I'll show you how to do it into our chain 1 to make it kind of more seamless. And I'll be right back to show you what to do next. At my slip stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into the back loop of my chain 1. Okay, should look something like that. Okay, so moving on to the next round, we are going to chain 1, again keeping it pretty loose. So chain 1, and then we're going to just do 1 single crochet in every stitch around until we come back, and then we'll slip stitch into our chain 1. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. And I have just done 1 single crochet into each stitch around, keeping my stitch count of 18. Now we are going to chain 1 again, keeping it quite loose, and into the next stitch we're going to put a single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. Okay, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then repeat that until you come all the way around it, and you should end on 2 single crochet. And I think your stitch count should be 24. I'm just coming up to our last 3 stitches where I'm going to put 1 single crochet to the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the last stitch. Right, and then that's our slip stitch, and then to the right of that is our chain 1, and we're just gonna slip stitch into there. Okay, now you should have 24 stitches all the way around. Get some more yarn. Now we are going to chain 1 and do 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and when we get back we're going to join the new color. So 1 single crochet to each stitch around. We're going to join the new color. I'll show you what to do next. So I have just 2 more stitches left. 1 and the next one. Right? And then I'm going to slip stitch into, well, I'm going to slip stitch with the new color. So go into your slip stitch like normal, and then we're going to yarn over with our cream color, which I have right here. Okay. So just going to leave a bit of a tail of sewing in, and just hold that and bring it through and through that, and just kind of make sure that those are secure, and don't cut your pink yarn because we're going to rejoin the pink after this row. And we're going to chain one again and just do one single crochet into every stitch around. And when we get back, we're going to slip stitch and rejoin with the pink. So I'm going to do that, and I shall be back. Coming up to my last stitch right there. Right. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that chain one, but then I'm going to rejoin the pink, which we didn't cut, and just gonna, so much yarn everywhere, get those out of the way. Just gonna slip stitch with the pink like so, and I'm just gonna cut my cream yarn now, leaving a bit of a tail end to sew in later. And so we are done with the cream, and I'm just gonna kind of just tuck those into our little cup. Okay, like so. And then what we're gonna do is our last round, which we're gonna chain one again, keeping it loose, and then one single crochet into every stitch until you come back, and you're going to slip stitch to join. So we do that, and I'll come back and show you what to do next. So I'm back. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit to show you kind of what's going on. I'm going to slip stitch into our chain one, which is right there, and pull it through the loop on our hook. Alright, so now I'm just going to pull out my hook for a little bit and turn this inside out. Then we're going to deal with all this and just get this out of the way before we move on. So we can just snip that end off. Oh, come on. Okay, get that out of the way. And for these, I'm just going to, this is our working yarn, so do not tie the pink to the white. Just tie the white to the white, because we're still working with the pink right now. So I'm just going to tie that nicely. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our yarn needle and thread it through. Okay. And then I'm just going to go through a couple stitches this way, because our stitches are so small. Our yarn will just hold that, and my yarn needle is just a little too big to get through there, but we'll make do. Okay, we can trim that. So now it's all secure. We can flip this back right side out, and it should look something like so. Alright, now we're going to rejoin our hook and pull tight, and then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And in our second hook from the chain, which will be our first chain that we chained, we're going to go in and we're going to try to get 2 bits of yarn, and then we're going to pull our loop through, and you should have 2 loops, or pull our hook through and you should have 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through one of those, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both of those. Okay, and now we're going to go back into that same stitch that we just did our last stitch into. Bring it back and do the same thing. Go through 1, then go through 2. Okay, and now we are going to go into this stitch right below, which is the stitch that we created when we chained 1. So go into that stitch and pull our yarn through like that, and yarn over, pull through 1, and then pull through 2. Now we're going to put our stitch into that chain 1 that we just created. And we're going to do 2 more of the what are called single crochet foundation chains. So through 1, through 2, and then go back right into the same one. So not the chain 1 that you just created, but the one that you just went into. And do 2 of those. Okay. And then we're going to go into that one and just do 1 single crochet foundation chain. And what this does is it kind of curls over and does this little loop. So next we're going to do 2 single crochet foundation chains in the loop before the chain before. So there's 1, there's 2, and that's it for the 2 single crochet foundation chains. Now what we're going to do is go in and do 1 single crochet foundation chain into the loop before, pull through 1, pull through 2, and then just do 1 more single crochet foundation chain, just 1, not an increase of 2. So going under 2 loops, pull through 1, pull through 2. Alright, so this creates our little handle, which will curve over and meet the bottom. Now there's 2 ways that you can meet the bottom. You can either single crochet or slip stitch into one of your back loop, which I think I will do, or you can sew it on. It doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as it meets the bottom, like so. Alright, and then I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. So it should look something like so. I'm just going to cut my yarn and leave a bit of a tail to sew my ends in. And just through. It should look something like that. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my yarn needle, thread my yarn hook through, without splitting my yarn, which I just did. So let's try that again. Maybe I should do this off camera instead of putting my fingers into the lens. There we go. Alright. Now see how there's a little gap right there? I just want to close up that gap. So I'm just going to go through here and just go into the teacup a couple rows above. Come out through the... just bringing that in. So it kind of looks a little less gappy. And then I'm going to come back out, catch up a little bit of yarn, just sew this bottom piece on a little bit better. Go through another stitch in the back and into the teacup. Okay, like so. There we go. And then I'm just going to flip it inside out and take a couple of stitches inside. Just cut your yarn. Okay. And that's it for your teacup. You have this nice little back up and it should just lay like that. Kind of like that. Okay. Alright. Alright, so moving on to the saucer, which looks like this. Alright. So, taking our, let's move this stuff out of the way. Taking our pink again, we're gonna chain 4. So, sorry about that. Still new to filming my crochet stuff on camera. Okay, so we do our slip knot and then we chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are going to slip stitch into our first chain to form a loop. See, yarn keeps splitting. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is chain 2, and I chain 1 like normally, but then on my second chain I just bring up the yarn a little bit to keep it loose because we're going to slip stitch into that one. And then in our hole that we created, which you can just find by pushing through the exact middle, we're gonna do 12 or 11 single crochet, and we're gonna have 12 including our chain 2. So that, so there's 1, going back into the hole that we created and keeping on screen. There is 2. Okay, now we're going to do 11 of these, and not counting 11 double crochet, not counting our chain 2. Okay, so I'm going to do that and I'll come back. Done 12 single crochet, or double crochet, or 11 double crochet, not including our chain 2, and we should have 12 chains or 12 stitches including our chain 2. And what we're going to do is just slip stitch into our chain 2, just right there. And sometimes it's kind of hard, but if you kept it loose, then it's easy. And then we're just going to make a slip stitch and check if we have 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and 6 times 2 is 12. Okay. That's just how I count my stitches. I'm just going to take this out and cut my bit of tail yarn right there. Get that out of the way. Okay, now we have 12 double crochet, and what we're going to do now is chain 2. So chain 1 like normal, and then bring up the second chain just a little bit, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the same stitch as we slip stitch into. Okay, and then a double crochet into the next stitch, and a double crochet into the same stitch. So we have 2 in there, and we're going to do 2 in each stitch around, and we're going to end up with 24 stitches. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. I did 2 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'm just going to slip stitch into my top chain 2. Okay, and it should look something like a lot. Okay, so this is going to be our last round, and it's going to be our little kind of wavy, wavy-ish border, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2, and this time you don't have to keep that loose because we're not even going to slip stitch into our chain 2. We're actually going to slip stitch into this double crochet that I'm going to do. I'm going to do the double crochet into the same stitch that I slip stitch, and this can be a little tight, but we're going to work a couple stitches in there. So there's 1, and then you're going to chain 1 and then yarn over it and then go back into the same stitch and do 2 more double crochet. So there's 1 and 2. So all together you will have 4 double crochet. So 2, chain 1, 2 again. Okay, then you're going to skip 1. So we're not going to go into this one, but we're going to go into this one. Do our 2 double crochet. And then chain 1. And then do 2 more double crochet into the same stitch. Oop, lost my stitch. Okay. And 2. Okay, and then we're going to skip 1 and repeat this and all the way around. And you'll get this kind of like fan shape to it. So I'm going to do that. Skip 1 and do our 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and I'll be back. Coming up to my last stitch, which is right there. I'm going to do my double crochet. And then another double crochet. And then my chain 1. And then another 2 double crochet. And then another one in the same stitch. And then what we're going to do is, there is our chain 2. This is our chain 2. And what we're going to do is just put it into our first single crochet, which is right there, and slip stitch. This just means that the gaps are correct. So that gap and that gap look pretty much the same. And then we're just going to do our little chain 1 and cut our yarn, leaving a bit of a tail like that, and just pull it through. That chain 1, when you pull it, it makes a little knot and it just makes it a little bit more secure. Now before we hide this tail end, we're going to do this little circle in the middle. So how we're going to do that is we're going to grab our cream yarn. So bringing in our cream yarn. We're not going to need a ton of this, just enough. So bringing in our cream yarn and finding our tail. We're going to start from the back, so put your cream yarn into the back, and I'm going to go into one of these. It doesn't matter if you start here or anywhere really. I'm going to go into one of these little cluster holes, just like that, and then starting from the back, leaving a little bit of a tail to sew in later. We're going to pull it through like this, and then we're going to go into the next stitch over, which is, you can see that it focuses, and then you're going to go to the next stitch, grab the yarn from the back, pull it up, and then just pull it through the loop, and it makes a little, looks like a little chain. And you're going to go into the next stitch, the yarn from the back, and you don't want to pull tight on this. You kind of want to leave it loose, just because if you pull tight, it might scrunch up your little saucer. So doing it again, you'll get the hang of this, pulling through, and again, pull through. And we're going to do that all the way around until we get back, and you're going to leave one stitch shy of the end. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what to do next to join it seamlessly. So I'll be right back. I'm almost back to one stitch prior. I just have one more to go. So just like that, pull it through, keeping it loose, and then it looks like you can just slip stitch into here and be done, but actually we're going to cut our yarn, not chaining, not doing anything, and leaving quite a little bit of a tail. So cut the yarn and just pull that out like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually just create our last little V, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to bring in our yarn needle. Get rid of it. Okay. So we're going to bring in our yarn needle. Thread it through. Okay. And then what we're going to do, I hope you can see this, we're going to go under both loops, this, like so. And then we're going to go down in the middle of our previous stitch right there, and just go down and out the back, and we'll finish up not catching any of the yarns like I did, so don't do that because it's going to be kind of hard. Okay, just going down, and I'll show you what happens when we do that. It just creates our last stitch, and we're joined seamlessly. Okay, now on the back, what we're going to do is just tie a knot, and not too tight because we don't want our last stitches to be distorted. Alright, and then we're just gonna sew in our ends. Just going this way and that way, pretty much. And cutting them when you're done. I'm going to do that, and I'll come back after my ends are sewn in. I'm back, and I've sewn all my ends in, and this is what your little saucer should look like. And your teacup. Bring the other one in. And I hope you do make one of these, because they're quite fun. They're very little. They're not very high. I mean, maybe an inch high. Now, I just want to point out one thing. If you do not have a size 3 yarn or a DK yarn weight, you can do this with worsted weight yarn and a size 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I have made a saucer and a teacup, and it's just a slightly bigger, and you can just follow the exact same steps and do a worsted weight one, and it makes it a little bit bigger. So you don't have to go out and try to find a DK yarn. You can do it with worsted weight, but if you want a smaller size like these, then you do want the DK and the size 2.75 millimeter. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you make one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!